Oh, here we are. We're off. Welcome, everyone. Really excited for today's session. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. I got Catherine here with me. Catherine, go ahead and say hello.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here.
So, we are excited to have this wonderful presentation where we talk about essential tools for indie authors. And we're going to give everyone a few minutes to get in before we get started. So, uh, we'll probably give like 2 or 3 minutes here before we get started. So give us a shout out in the chat. We'd love to hear from you, where you're from, what you're doing. If you've used Scrivener or Vellum before, I want to hear these things. Let us know. Rose says, London, baby. Whoo! Welcome, Rose. Jessica from Texas. Katrina from Dallas. Woohoo, it's coming in fast. Can't keep up. Oh, looking good. I'm seeing Germany. I'm seeing New Mexico. Is it Miquel? He says, I have used both and I am using both. That's great. That's great. Happy to hear that. Let's see here. Nova Scotia, Canada, Berlin, Ireland, Copenhagen, Grand Cayman. Wow. I just love, I don't know about you, Catherine, but it's so cool to see so many people from all over the world. Dubai, Tennessee, it's just Paris, France. Woohoo. This is great. A lot of
Another
fun.
person from Chicago. Hello. It's nicer today. Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Very, very cool to see where everyone's from.
Where it's coming from. Yeah. Let's see. Quebec. Scrolling down. Man, I got 99 plus messages to go through here. I'm going too slow, I guess. Wow, this is great. And we're looking, we're expecting, we had over 1,200 registrations. So we have a lot of people who will either, will be coming today. And so we want to give everyone plenty of time to get in case they didn't get that email saying, hey, we're starting. But we're glad you're here. And like I said, we're really excited to go over today's session. It's going to be some really cool stuff. I think it's really going to help you all out as you're working towards self-publishing that book. Let's see here. Elisa says, Hi, I use Scrivener and Vellum, but not very well. Looking forward to today's session.
We're here to help.
Exactly, exactly. I'm actually just as excited as you are. Catherine's the expert here in Vellum, and I've only had it for a short time, and I love it every minute I've spent with it. I think it's just a great app. I look forward to seeing her show me how I can even improve my skills with it. It's going to be great.
Yeah, similarly, Scrivener has so many amazing tools and buttons and controls. And I know that we're not going to go through nearly all of them today,
Yeah,
but I'm
yeah,
I'm very, very excited to just sort of get the overview because we have
yeah.
so many Vellum users who are just, diehard Scrivener fans.
So true, so true.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm looking. Michael here. Scrivener over Word. I currently use Word and Vellum. Ooh, that's actually a really good question. I think we'll answer that because you do. I'm going to show you how you can actually export your Scrivener project to Vellum, and it does actually require exporting that to a special Word document. But we have a cool little format in Scrivener that allows you to do that really well, and actually it comes out looking real nice. So we'll look at that and how that whole thing works. Personally, I'm not a Word guy at all. I feel like it's kind of archaic and it does good at some things. I'm not going to totally rag on it. There are some things Word is good at. It's really good at formatting. It's really good at business documents. But as far as like novel writing, no, thank you. I don't miss the days of writing my novel in Microsoft Word.
Well, it looks
Let's
like we've
see
got
here.
somebody who published their book using Vellum last month. Thank you for
Oh,
sharing that. Looking forward to looking at that a little later.
that's great.
That's exciting.
Gordon
Um,
says I'm a diehard Vellum fan. Ooh, and he said,
nice.
let me see, starting with the first version, use Scrivener 2, but not connected to one another. Ooh, hopefully we can bridge that gap between the two of those
Absolutely.
apps to some degree today. Ellen says, personally, I really, really, really dislike Word. Yeah, right there with you. Right there with you. Okay, perfect. Okay, well, I think we're good to go ahead and get started here. Oh, let me Ruth is here and so is Brad. So Ruth is from our technical support team in Literature Labs, and we have Brad here from Vellum, right? 180G. And so they'll be kind of lurking in the background, helping you answer your questions in the chat and in the Q&A. So watch out for that. Throw questions in the Q&A. They'll do their best to get to those, and we will definitely have some time at the end to talk about that. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to get started. I'm going to go through the whole format, how we're going to do all this, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's do it. Let me share my screen real quick, and let's get the ball rolling. Okay, well, here we go. So, first off, welcome everyone to our January Scrivener webinar series brought to you by the creative minds behind Scrivener and Scapple, Literature and Latte. I'm Oliver Evanson, your host today, bringing you insights drawn from over 15 years of writing and Scrivener expertise. Now, whether you're a seasoned author or you're just starting your writing venture, our webinars are designed with your needs in mind. Today, we will be exploring essential tools for indie authors on how to write and format your book with Scrivener and Vellum with our special guest, Catherine, today. And so I'm really excited to have her with us. Thank you so much for joining us, Catherine. Now, real quick, some items of business. For those of you who wish to revisit today's session or want to share it with your fellow writers, this webinar will be recorded, and you can find the replay on my YouTube channel tomorrow and enjoy ad-free next week in the Literature and Latte webinar library. So links will be provided for those shortly, so just hang tight. We'll get those out for you. Now, real quick, let's talk about our schedule. I just want to get that out of the way so we can kind of see what's going on today. So first, I'll provide a short introduction to our speakers and the topic. After which we will move on to the training where I'll cover how to structure, write, and export your manuscript for final formatting in Vellum. And after my training, I'll turn the time over to Catherine, and she'll cover how to then take that document into Vellum and format that manuscript. And she's got a lot of great tools. I'm really excited to see what she's got. Now, after Catherine wraps up her portion of the training, I'll share loads of great free resources that you can utilize to help understand your understanding of Scrivener, Vellum, and improve your personal writing skills. And additionally, we'll also provide you with our support email addresses so you can reach out if you have any further questions. And last but not least, we'll conclude with a live Q&A where Catherine and I will answer as many of your questions about Scrivener and Vellum or writing or whatever the case may be. We'll do our best and get those questions answered for you. And anything we can answer, of course, we'll get you those emails so you can get the support and the help that you need. Okay, so here we go. First off, for those of you who don't have any idea who I am, my name is Oliver Evans. I'm a writer, I'm an editor, I'm a mentor with 15 years of Scrivener and writing expertise, and I'm eager to teach you what I've learned in my position as the outreach specialist for Literature and Latte, the creators of Scrivener and Scapple. Now, I love connecting with you guys. If you'd like to connect with me, please send me an email. My email's right there. Or better yet, you can join one of my email lists. I frequently send out valuable tips, techniques to help you become a better writer, and all subscribers will receive a free copy of my free starter novel template, so check that out. And of course, if you want to see what I'm writing in Scrivener, you can check out my Substack, oliverevanson.substack.com, or use that QR code right there. Okay, and moving on to our special guest here. Really excited to have her here with us. This is Catherine. And Catherine, I didn't ask you how to pronounce your last name, so I can I get your
Um,
help?
my last name is Solheim. I am
Solheim.
not a director at 180G. I'm
Oh,
more of a support specialist.
you
And
know what?
to
Yeah, go ahead.
It's all
Go ahead.
good. To sort of long-term Vellum users and fans, it may come as a surprise to some of you that not everyone who works at Vellum's name is Brad. In 2023, we diversified. And now when you contact the help desk, you get me, Catherine. I have over 20 years of experience working in bookselling, culminating in a stint as a bookstore owner. So I know my way around books. And I've been so enthusiastic and excited to learn how to use Vellum and work with the Brads to help indie authors format their books. So it's been a really great experience for me. And yeah, I'm just very excited to be here and excited to show you guys around Vellum.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Catherine. Sorry about that. I guess I forgot to update that slide, so I appreciate you working with me here. So let me share my screen again, and we'll get right back into it. Okay, there we go. And I'll just drop this in here so you guys can all see everything she just told you right there. We're really happy to have you here. She is an exceptional person. She has a lot of great experience, and I can't wait to hear from her today. Okay. Well, I'm not going to waste any time at this point. We're going to dive right into our first training, and this is what I'm going to cover. First up, I will cover my two-step quick start guide to get you up and running fast in Scrivener. Next, after that, I'll discuss how uh, to demonstrate best practices for using Scrivener's binder to structure your novel. And following that discussion, I'll teach you how to write in Scrivener comfortably using Scrivener's main editor. And last but not least, I'm going to wrap that up with our training on how to export your novel for final formatting in Vellum. So let's get started with that quick start guide. Okay. So getting started with Scrivener honestly is not difficult at all. In fact, I'll guide you through two simple steps: setting up your first project and importing your existing writing and research. So first off, when starting a project in Scrivener, it's best to choose a template that suits your specific needs. Now, whether you're writing a novel, a screenplay, an essay, or a poem, Scrivener has a variety of built-in templates that you can use to do whatever you need to do. Now, if you can't find a template that works specifically for what you're looking for, I'd recommend you check out our blank template. It's super customizable. In fact, you might even want to create your own custom templates over time. Now, today you'll notice that some of the templates in my new project window aren't available to you, and that's okay. Those are things that I've created over time, but I'm going to show you um, the existing ones and how you can use those simply and easily. Let's see here. Now, we don't have time to cover all of Scrivener's amazing tools and features today, but I promise as you keep using Scrivener, you'll learn how to use these tools to make your writing experience even better. Now, after we create our first project, we're going to jump into step 2 here, and that's importing your existing writing and research. And this one is of particular importance if you really want to get started using Scrivener today. If you have an existing book or project, this is going to be just for you. Now, undoubtedly, most of you already have an abundance of writing and research that must be transferred into your Scrivener project. And I believe it's probably going to feel like this is kind of hard. I don't know if I can do this. This is a daunting task, but it needn't be. Thankfully, transferring your work into Scrivener is uncomplicated and straightforward. And in the majority of cases, it's just a simple drag and drop. Now, for larger projects, we do have a import and split feature that makes it even easier to rapidly import existing chapters or scenes from your novel or whatever it is you're trying to bring in. So let's go ahead and begin. Let's get started here. We go. And if you guys can't see my screen for any reason, or you have any problems, be sure to let me know. Ruth, well, I'm sure she'll shout out to me if something doesn't look right. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and open up Scrivener, like so. And when you first pop open Scrivener, you're going to see this window right here. It's called the new project window. And if you're brand new to Scrivener, you're going to probably set up right here in the getting started page. Now I've defaulted mine to go to my templates because that's what I use on a daily basis. So you're not going to see these two templates in your Scrivener unless you have them. But you can see right here, we have our getting started section. We have an interaction tutorial. I highly recommend that. If you spend some time in that, it's a great way to solidify your knowledge of Scrivener. We have our manual. We have our video tutorials as well. And if you go out of this section, you can see all the available templates that are currently on your computer at this time. You can see the blank templates here. They're broken up into categories. We have a fiction template, nonfiction, script writing, writing mentor, etc. So whichever one makes sense for you, that's going to be the one you want to work on. If you're writing a nonfiction novel, you'll probably want to come, a nonfiction book, you probably want to come here to the general nonfiction. If you're writing a fiction, you might want to do the novel or the novel with parts. If you have access to my free starter novel template, you can go ahead and double click that and get started as well. Now we're going to go ahead and dive right into just creating a basic novel from the default novel template here. And I'm going to show you this one, and I'll probably also show you why you might want to use the starter novel template because it kind of saves you a little bit of time. But we're going to go ahead and go to our novel template here, and we're going to give it a name. Now, at this point, it really doesn't matter what you name it. You could call it a working title. You could give it just an idea of what you want the name to be. It does not have to be the final title for your book. So in our case, I'm just going to call this, let's just call it The Rising Sun. I'm going to go with something kind of generic like that. And like I said, you could do working title, you could do anything you want, so long as you know where you're saving your project. Now you can see in my case here, I'm saving it in Documents in a folder called Scrivener Projects. If you wanted to, you can also save your Scrivener projects in the cloud. We do recommend Dropbox. You can see I have them saved here under Apps, Scrivener, and then they're all my Scrivener projects that I save in the cloud. Okay, whichever way you do it, it doesn't matter so long as you know where your projects are. So for the sake of simplicity, let's go ahead and go to Documents. We'll click Scrivener Projects, and we'll save that project right here. Click Create. And boom, just like that, we have created our first project and we know where it is. It's in our Scrivener project folders in Documents, right? Easy to find. We'll go ahead and make that a little bit bigger. So that's the main thing you need to know as far as creating your first project. Now, there are a few housekeeping things I like to do when I first create a project. In this case, you can see I have a novel format document here. It tells me a little bit about this template and what it does. I can always get this document again by creating a new project. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete that. If you want to, you can read through it. It's no problem. If you find that helpful, that's great. If not, you can just go ahead and toss it in the trash there. We can go ahead and reorganize a few things. Personally, I like a really clean binder layout here where things are just really simple. It's really easy to see what I'm looking at. I go ahead and take these characters, I throw them in the research, take the places, research, front matter. If you don't know what that is, that's like a title page for a manuscript or a cover or a copyright for a paperback novel or something like that. For an ebook, a cover right there, a dedication, those kind of things. And those are typically useful if you plan to take your book out of Scrivener, but a lot of that actually can be handled by Vellum, so I'm not going to go too much into that today. We're going to go ahead and close that up. Then we take our notes. I'm going to throw that into my research folder as well. I kind of like to have all my research just in the research folder out of the way and only see it when I actually open up that folder and have it there. And then once I've done that, you can see now I'm left with 4 folders here: my manuscript folder, or where I wrote my book, or where I write my book. I have my research folder here where I keep all my research files. And then I have a templates folder. This is not an essential folder, but I use the templates like crazy. I love templates. I'm a template guy. So I usually keep that there as well so I can see what templates I have or create new ones myself. And then last but not least, I have my trash. You can see here, even though I deleted this, it's not gone. It's still there. Okay. So this will only be permanently deleted if I right click it and delete it, or if I click here, empty trash. Now, typically, unless I know I can get that file back, I don't typically empty my trash. I actually keep my trash organized. Kind of strange, right? But I do. And I only empty it when I'm absolutely sure I don't need that document or I know I can get it again in some way. And this way, I've gone ahead and set myself up for success. You can see I have a manuscript folder, I have a chapter, I have a scene, and I can go ahead and get started writing now. Okay. Now, if you want to save yourself a little time and effort, you can go ahead and use my starter novel template here. It is a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and just create a project here. We're just going to call this starter novel template just to give you an idea of what this looks like. Okay. And it's really easy to use. It has the same kind of starter novel, a little activation guide to get you started, to kind of tell you what's different from the novel template. But the main thing here is you can see here I have a series. My manuscript folder is now a series folder, and it has a book inside of it. Inside the book, it has acts or parts. And inside that, I have chapters and scenes, and it kind of sets up this structure ready to go for you. And all that moving around and things that I had before, I don't have to do any of that because everything's kind of already put where it should be. Not to mention we have a couple great little templates here that I made for you to use. So if that's something that interests you, if you're a fiction writer, this is going to be really useful. If you're not a fiction writer, you might want to just stick with either the general nonfiction or just the regular default novel template there. So there you go. Check that out. Well, let's go ahead now and move into step 2, importing your existing research into your Scrivener project. How do we go ahead and do that? Well, actually, it's really, really easy. And I think this is probably one of the things where a lot of people get kind of like stressed out a little bit, like, well, I don't want to move over to something new because I've already got everything in this other app and it's going to be hard. And yeah, I get it. It is. It is initially. Sometimes it is challenging to do just that. But let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and open up our binder here real quick. I'm going to turn off the inspector. I'm going to move this over to the side and I'm going to open up my Finder. If I was on a PC, I'd open my Windows Explorer. It doesn't really matter where you're at, so long as you can actually find the files you want to bring over. And truthfully, it's just a drag and a drop. I love this. So if we go over, let's find some a manuscript here. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's start with the manuscript. So I have some sample manuscripts here that I've written, and we're going to go ahead and just drag and drop one over directly into Scrivener. So we'll do this. Otter 2, I'm going to drag it in right here to the manuscript folder, just like so. You can see that purple line there kind of shows where it's going to end up. I imported that in, and now it's saying, okay, my second novel, it's all in here. And just like that, my entire manuscript has been brought into Scrivener, including this little title page I don't particularly need. So we'll go ahead and delete that. Okay, and then there's chapter 1. If you scroll down, oh, we got a bunch of unnecessary things here we can delete out. But depending on how your manuscript is looking, it's going to look something like this when it comes in. Okay, and so I might have to do a little bit of cleaning up here depending on what your formatting is you're bringing in from, if it's bringing in from Word or whatever, or how things look. I imagine you'll format it a little bit better than this, but you can see right here, we got chapter 2 here, and I can actually go through this all and start breaking it up into pieces by piece by piece by piece by piece. Now, that does take a little bit of time, but it is so worth it. Now, you can do a quicker way. I'm going to show that in just a second. Don't be like, hey, Oliver, that sounds like it'll take forever. Because you can see here, it is 91,000 words I'm going to have to go through. So the drag and drop is really great if you have a smaller document or you have multiple documents and you just want to quickly drag and drop them in. If you have one massive file like this, then you may want to approach it a different way. But before we do that, let me show you something here. So this is chapter 2 here. I'm actually going to go ahead and rename this the Royal Chef of Quillendale, like so. Okay. So that becomes that name. I'm actually going to go ahead and delete this too, because I don't typically keep my chapter names and things inside the text. It's actually, I have that all in my binder here to the left. So we're going to scroll down here. We're going to find chapter 3, probably, right? Let's scroll down there. We're starting to see some things here. Let's go ahead and delete that. Okay, there's chapter 3. And what I could do now is I could select this right here, right click it, and do split with selection as title. Boom, just like that. And then we're slowly breaking it up. And there are going to be some formatting things I'm going to have to come through and kind of clean up here a little bit. But I like this because this allows me to get familiar with Scrivener and kind of practice using it and kind of see what it's all about, kind of build my structure piece by piece. And it also allows me to get more familiar with my manuscript and kind of see what it's going to look like in Scrivener. You can see right here is a scene break. I can right click this here. I can split with selection as title. I'm probably going to go ahead and change that to like a scene. Ideally, you'd want to give it a really descriptive name. In this case, to kind of keep it simple, I'm just going to take the first, what do you call it? The first sentence there and make that my scene name. And actually should be dropped in right under that there, like so. And we're going to keep scrolling down here. Oops. Give me a second. There we go. I can keep scrolling down and doing the same thing over and over and over again, like so. There we go. Yep. And yes, this could take some time. Here's chapter 4, so on. I keep splitting and splitting and splitting. You can see how slowly the manuscript structure would start to appear in my binder. And I could reorganize things in my binder, and it would be great and a lot of fun. But if you're feeling like, hey, that's taking a bit too long, there is an easier way. Let me show you. Now, what we're going to do instead is we're going to go to File, Import, and click Import and Split. Okay, now the important thing to note here before you do this is make sure wherever you want that document to go, make sure you have it selected in the binder already. In this case, I have my manuscript folder selected, so I'm going to go to File, Import, Import and Split. And you can see I have the option here now to go to somewhere on my computer and find a manuscript and bring it in. Now, by default, what you're going to see here is sections are separated by a certain symbol or something. In this case, it's usually the pound or the hashtag symbol that's there. I have found that if you just change this to chapter, it makes it even better because then it catches all the chapters, assuming you've used chapters in the chapter word there to bring in your manuscript, right? But it makes it just way, way easier for me to bring everything in. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my Scrivener demo files here. We're going to click the manuscript folder here. And we're going to go ahead and use this, and we're going to click split into sections by finding separators in the text. And then sections are separated by what? By chapter. So every time Scrivener encounters the word chapter in your manuscript, it's going to split it into a new document. So let's see what happens when I do that. Boom, there we go. So right there in the encounter chapter, we have one. So there was definitely some duplicates here. This is, to be fair, this is not a very well formatted manuscript when it was coming in. But you can see here, we've got this kind of already come up. And now I can actually go through and start making changes to all of this manuscript. I can kind of build this structure however I want it to be. And that's the quickest and easiest way to kind of break it up into smaller chunks that I can then use later. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that. And if for any reason I don't need any of these, I can right click any one of them. Like this one right here, there's nothing else in it. I just right click it and move to trash. Same with this one too. There's nothing there, right? So that kind of eliminates some of those duplicates. And then you can see where it said chapter, it's now chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, typically what I would want to do is actually replace these with the actual names of the chapter. And the reason I do that is because then even if chapter 2 becomes chapter 1, for example, let me show you here. Let's say the Royal Chef of Quillendale actually became chapter 1. I could easily just move that up in the binder here, and then Scrivener would know that's now chapter 1 versus this is now chapter 2. Whereas if I had just kept it as numbers, right? Let's say this is chapter 5, right? And then move it up to be chapter 4, right? Now I have to go in and actually change the name here. It's so much better just to keep very descriptive names like that so you can move things around at will without having to constantly change titles and things like that. It's the same reason why I also don't put the titles and things inside the manuscript here. I typically go ahead and actually, what do you call it? Move those out and just keep it in the title of the document itself. So there we go. That's how we kind of drag and drop things in. We can use our file import and split to quickly import and split things. The last thing I want to cover here in terms of bringing files into Scrivener is just research files. How do I get research files in here? Really easy to do. The cool thing about Scrivener is that you can have a lot of different types of research available in your Scrivener project. So let's take, for example, video and audio here. So you can see I have an audio file and a video file right here. I can come in and go to my research folder, right? And I can literally just drag and drop these in like so. I can put it anywhere I want to. I can drop it just to straight to the research folder and it'll just drop it in like that. And I can do the same with the audio file. And bear in mind, it is actually copying and putting that file directly in the Scrivener project. So if I deleted these right here, they would still be okay in my project here. Um, so you can see I could play that directly in Scrivener. I'm not going to because it'll make some noise in my, in my ear and I don't have the audio connected for you guys to hear, but I will play the video so you can kind of see this. You can actually have working audio and video files directly in your Scrivener project. Now, one thing I will always encourage people is when you're bringing in files, make sure you have a place to put them and they have good names. There's nothing worse than having like a bunch of gobbledygook, like letters and numbers all jumbled together. You're just dropping them in to your project and you're not paying attention to where they're going. It's really, really important just for the sake of organization to give, to create simple folders. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think that's where most people get wrong. Like, I have to have this perfect organizational system or nothing. No, don't be like that. If you don't have an idea of what to do, just group things together like this: movies, audio files, right? Like so. I'm going to do audio, right? And it looks like I got stuck in there, so I'm going to push that out. And then I'm going to go ahead and push that in. And you can see now I have an audio and a video folder where I can keep audio and video files. Same is true for images. In this case, I'm just going to drag and drop this image folder from my Finder here and drop it in there. You can see that when I click on it, it takes me to my corkboard and lets me preview the images inside. I can open it up. There are all the images. I can view them one by one. You can see how easy it was just to drag and drop that whole folder in. So if you just take a little bit of effort on the front end, that organization will save you loads of time down the road. It also makes your project a lot more searchable and easy to find things. Same with PDFs. You can see PDFs right inside here, like book ideas, other documents. Any PDF file can be brought into Scrivener. Let's see if I have anything else I want to bring in real quick. Academic, no. I think that's the main bulk of it. But we can also bring in websites. Let's say, for example, I wanted to add a website here, right? An external website. I can go to insert, import web page. So you'd have to just click that button and then have the actual web page to import in. It's really easy to do, and it's really easy to keep these things organized directly in your research folder right there, like so. Okay, well, that's my quick start guide. I'm going to go ahead and jump back into the presentation real quick, and we'll move on from there. Hopefully everyone can see that. Okay, moving right along. Now, with our 2 quick steps completed, it's time to discuss how to structure your novel in Scrivener's binder. Now, you can think of the binder as the backbone of your project in Scrivener. It's located in the left-hand column of the main window. It offers a comprehensive overview of all the items in your project. And you may have noticed already, but there are 3 indispensable folders that every project includes that cannot be deleted. And that's our manuscript folder. In this case, you saw I had relabeled that a series folder in my starter novel template. So you can call that whatever you want: a series, a manuscript, a book, whatever. You can even put the title of your manuscript there if you want to. And let's see here. But what that does is it allows you to organize your writing into various text documents, facilitating the easy rearrangement of scenes, chapters, etc. You want to exclude notes directly in this section unless they're in the document notes section, and we'll look at that in a minute. As this is a sole folder that will be exported when compiling or exporting your project out of Scrivener. In fact, if you try to put a media file in here, it's going to say, sorry, you can't do that. You can't put a PDF file there. You can't put a movie file or an audio file. It just can't go into that manuscript folder. Scrivener won't allow it. Now, next we have a research folder, which is where you can store all of your research materials. We saw that we had the images, PDF files, web pages, and more. It's great to have all your research in one place, easily accessible to you as you write. Last but not least, we have the trash folder, which is pretty self-explanatory, right? It acts as a virtual bin for deleted items. It's good to note that Scrivener does not automatically delete any files, so it's always possible to recover anything you accidentally send to the trash. In fact, you may recall me saying earlier that I don't typically empty my trash. In fact, I keep it organized. I know I'm kind of a weirdo when it comes to that, but I want I want to be able to go to my trash and say, hey, you know what? I got rid of that one document a while back. It's kind of like my scrap folder, so to speak, and I want to be able to find it easily in case I change my mind, which sometimes, believe it or not, I do. Okay. And any additional folders can be added to an existing ones, can be renamed and deleted as needed. It really just gives you complete control over the structure of your project while allowing you to keep everything organized and easily accessible as you work on your manuscript. So let's look at that for a second. I know some of us, we've kind of talked about it a little bit. Let's talk about creating that structure. We're going to go back, right back here. Oops, wrong button. There we go. Let's talk structure now. I'm actually going to switch back to the starter novel template here because I've already got a great structure built right into this template. You can see here we have that series title. In this case, let's just use the example of my Phantom Lord series. So Phantom Lord of Shadows. Oh, let's call it Phantom Lord Saga, right? So I could call that a series folder like so. And then I could give the book one. In this case, I have a book one, right? But I'm going to give it an actual name. We're going to call that Mark of the Shadow. The Shadow, right? Then we open that up, and then inside that we have acts. Now, whether you use Save the Cat, three act structure, there are so many structures. Whatever one you use, you can build that structure here in Scrivener. Now, typically, I don't keep this as my core structure throughout the entire thing. I kind of like to see it visualized first when I'm first working on the novel, but typically this will change over time, and often it'll change like this is like part one, right? And it won't even be part one. It'll be the name like Rise of the Shadow Marked. And I'll have other ways of keeping track of how I see the act structure. But you can initially start with that structure like so. And you can open that up. Inside of that, we have a chapter. And typically I'll give a really good name for the chapter, like the butcher's niece or something. Let's see here. Butcher's niece. Okay. And inside of that, yet again, I know we're kind of opening the what are those Russian dolls called when you just keep opening them and there's another one inside. We have our scenes, and in this case, I have a little scene template here, and so I can actually give that a very specific name as to what's going on here. In this case, let's say Nira goes to the castle gate, right? Gate to oops, not if I can spell it. Gate to meet Dorton, right? And so this can be as long as you want. Typically, I try to keep them really short. So when I look at my binder here, I can go ahead and just see what's going on. Now, this is really easy to do with the Star Novel template, but what if I'm just using the novel template? How do I recreate this structure or something similar to it? Well, let's jump back to our regular one here. Let's look at building a structure here. So we're going to open this up. You can see we've already got some things set up in here, right? Let's go ahead. This is the typical structure you'll see. We have like a chapter folder with a scene inside of it. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go ahead and create a book folder. Down here in the bottom left corner, you'll see there is a button to create a folder. You can also go to click this little add button and click new folder like so. I'm just going to call this book one, right? We'll go ahead and drag and drop that in like so. Now, this is assuming you wanted to write multiple books in a single project. If you don't, that's fine. You can omit this folder. You don't have to use the book one folder, but all you need to do is basically just change that folder to not include the book folder and you'll be fine. So we'll go ahead and close that up real quick. You can see there we go. We have a manuscript folder and a book folder. And I can actually change this once again to a series folder. And this is what I love about Scrivener is that I, as the writer, get to decide how this book is structured. I get to determine how things how work. And as long as it makes sense to me, that's all that matters, really. So make a structure that makes sense for you and just go for it. So we have our series folder there. We have a book folder here. We open that up, and inside we have all these lovely scenes. In this case, actually, I think they're actually chapters. And this is a perfectly reasonable way to do this. You could have chapters just like this and have it just like this. Don't have to add any extra folders, anything like that. You could just have the chapters as a single document. But if you want to break up scenes even more, then I recommend you go ahead and create another folder. We'll call this one, we'll actually just copy and paste this here like so. Paste that right there. And then we'll just throw that inside like that. And let's say too, we also wanted to build out that three act structure, right? What we would do is we quickly come in here and we create three folders. I'm going to call it Act 1. And then we're going to create another folder, Act 2, right? And then again, Act 3, like so. And we'll just quickly move these over really quick. And so depending on how many you think should be in each act, you can kind of just drag and drop those in as need be where they need to go. And you can see it's not terribly difficult at all. We can even close up the Act 1 and the Act 2 to make this really simple for us. Probably need to organize this a bit better. I imagine Act 2 is a bit bigger than Act 3, but in this case, I threw everything in Act 3 like so. But you can see very quickly, if I had a manuscript I was bringing into Scrivener, you could see how that would come together quite nicely. And I could then come through and then do the same thing, going through and add in, split up scenes. Maybe this has multiple scenes in it. I want to split up in here, and I could break that up and build that structure just how I want it. So that's how we do that. You can see we can come through and this is our special little add tool. We can add new text documents. We can add new folders. And if we have any templates and things like that, we can add templates here. The Start Novel template here, we'll look over that real quick. There we go. We have these, a chapter template and a book template to make that process of building that structure a little bit easier. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump back in the presentation. I want to make sure we have plenty of time for Catherine and her excellent material. So give me just a second. We'll jump right back over. Just two more slides from me and we'll be on our way. So with the knowledge of how to structure your novel in Scrivener's binder, let's move on to writing your novel in Scrivener's main editor. And this is, the main editor is really where the magic happens. It's where writers can write, edit, and format their text with ease. It's located in the middle column of the main window. It offers a flexible writing experience with various formatting options available. We have text formatting, we have comments and footnotes, we have an editor zoom feature that allows you to zoom in on your text. You can see it just at the reading level you like. You can even split your editor side by side so you can see what's going on there. And so you can actually, what do you call it? You can view your research right alongside your writing, which is one of my most favorite features about Scrivener, the idea that I can have either a previous scene or a character template or something available right there for me to use as I'm writing my novel. So let's see it in action here right now. Boom, here we go. Oops, wrong button again. Okay, so let's look at the format bar here. Okay, we're going to go ahead. Let's stick around here. So we're in our series folder here, book one. Let's go to act one. Let's go to Royal Chef of Quillendale here. And we're going to just kind of adjust things to make it how we like it. First off, I'm going to go ahead and delete that out of the way. This is kind of what I would expect to see when I'm working on my scene or chapter here. I have my format bar right here at the top of my main editor. Allows me to kind of bold things, italicize, underline. As the case may be, I can uh, uh, adjust alignment and things like that. I can adjust spacing, all those fun things, bullets and so forth. I can even change fonts if I want to. Okay. I can even come in here and add comments and footnotes through the inspector. I can click that little button right there in the right corner and select any text I want and add a comment. Okay. And add anything here I'd like. This is really useful if I want to keep some quick notes. I like the comments because I can easily see them. I can also keep notes right here in my documents notes section right there as well. Now, for me, where we're zoomed in, this looks a little small for me. So in the bottom left corner, I can actually change the text scale. Don't change the font, okay? Some people will mistakenly try to come and they'll make the font bigger like this. Yeah, don't do that. What you want to do instead of changing the actual formatting, you just want to zoom in on the text here. We can come here, we can go to 300%. We could do 600% if we wanted to. You can kind of adjust to be whatever you want it to be. That 200% actually is pretty decent. I don't mind. I like it. Typically, that's where most of us kind of end up. It may depend on the size of your font too. Like typically, this is looking a little small for me, and I think it's because my font came in as a size 10 when usually it's like a size 13. So just give you an idea of what it would normally look like when I bring in text. It'd be like mostly it would look just about like that, which is for me just about perfect. I love that 200 zoom. I think the default is somewhere between 100 and 150. I can't remember. Maybe Ruth, if you can, if you if you recall what that is, you can drop that in for me in the chat. But typically, you'll find most people will do doing something like this. If you want to adjust that default, so it's always at 200%, it's always at 400%, or wherever you want it to be, the easiest way to do that is just quickly go to Scrivener settings. We're going to go to Scrivener settings. For PC, it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to have to find, I think it's file options, and then you need to go to editing. And then right there, it says default text zoom. And then you just change that to be whatever you want it to be. And then all new documents from here on out, it'll just always default to that 200% or whatever it is you want it to be. Okay. And last but not least here, the biggest thing I want to show you here probably is splitting the editor. And you can see right here, I can actually go to the help menu here and search this. I can do editor split like so. It's a little bit easier to see on the when I'm demonstrating this. That's why I do this. And it's really easy to find. No split, split horizontally, split vertically. You can see there are keyboard shortcuts associated with it. But the easiest way is right here in the top right corner of the editor. You can actually just click that button right there. It splits it into two. And what it does is it actually copies the other editor you're working on like so. Whatever you're viewing here, you're viewing there. And then whichever one you want to change, you just click around to wherever you want to go. So I could go down to my research here. I could go to my characters. Oops, I don't have any characters. Let's do a PDF file here. I could look at a PDF file. I could look at my audio file and listen to it. I could go to the any websites I have here. I could go to this video I have. Whatever I want, I can load it up in there like so. And if I ever wanted to remove it, or let's say I want it to go away, I just click the box in the top right corner of the editor I want to keep open. So let's say I wanted to keep this editor open. I would click that box right there. Let's split it again. Let's go back to that. In this case, okay, can you do this editor? Because I had that editor selected. If I wanted to keep this one open, I would click that little box right there. That would keep it open for me. And one more little trick I want to show you with this. If you want always one editor to stay open, so when you're clicking around, it doesn't accidentally change it, for example, like this, okay? I can actually right click this, click lock in place. If you're on a PC, make sure you click the icon, right click, click lock in place. That'll lock that editor. So no matter what I click, it'll change the other editor, but it will not change this editor here. Just remember though, when you lock it, you do need to unlock it at some point so that you move it around again, okay? There we go. That is splitting the editor. That's writing in the editor. How to format, how to use comments and footnotes. I know I'm just like burning rubber here and going like super fast. This will be recorded, so you'll be able to rewatch a lot of this. But I just want to make sure we have time for everything today. There's just so much good stuff. I can't share it all. Okay. Well, let me switch back to my presentation here. I got one more slide to go. Let's see here. Boom. Okay. Perfect. So now that we have a better understanding of the main editor and its features, let's discuss how we can export our manuscript to Vellum for final formatting with Scrivener's compiler. So the compiler is found under the File menu or in with the Compile button on the toolbar. And for many, when they first open this menu, it can seem really like, oh, scary. Honestly, you're like, I don't even know what any of this is. There's a lot of features, and honestly, it is a really incredibly powerful tool. There's a lot of cool things you can do here, but it's actually what we're going to do today is quite simple. And what it allows you to do is to take your finished project and turn it into a variety of formats, like a PDF or an EPUB, or in this case today, we're going to turn it into a Word document with Vellum specific formatting. Now, we'll be taking a look at how to export your manuscript to Vellum, and here are a few key things you need to know. First, you need to know how to select your compile output. In this case, if we're exporting to Vellum, it must be Microsoft Word, as this is the required format for importing your manuscript into Vellum. So watch out for that. We're going to look at that. Number two, you need to choose your compile format. So when you select Microsoft Word, you'll actually need to specifically select the format called Vellum, and we'll look at that in just a second. We'll also be, you also may want to adjust a few of the compile settings before finally compiling and exporting your project. And I'll just kind of show you how to include or exclude some things from your project as the case may be. And let's go ahead and do that. Let's see it in action. Okay, whoops. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're actually going to use an existing manuscript of mine, the Alden the Amulet, which is really well set up. I've spent a lot of time, organizing things, making things look nice. You can see this is a typical Scrivener project where you'll see where things are really well organized, kind of where everything is. We have here a series folder. We have, in this case, a manuscript folder. And then inside the manuscript, we have prologue. We have several different parts. And the cool thing is I know I have my 3-act structure is here. You can't see it directly in the structure, but I know it. And I'm aware of how it works. And that's the important thing, is that you know how it works and it's clean here. You should be able to look at this and kind of see, okay, here are the names of the chapters. Here are the names of the scenes that are going on in those chapters. What's going on here? And just kind of look at that at a glance and know what's going on. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and go to our compile menu. There's two ways to get there. We go to File, Compile, or we can click the compile button right there in the top right corner like so. And here we go. It's taking us in. In this case, By default, it's probably going to select the series folder in this case, or the manuscript folder as it's originally called. In my case, since I'm writing a series in here, I'm having multiple books, I'll actually want to select from the drop-down menu and click the book I want to compile. Okay. If you're just compiling one book, you don't have to worry about that step. It'll already have that manuscript folder selected and you'll be good to go. This is only for people who are writing multiple books in Scrivener. Okay. Now, another thing I'm really looking for is my compile output. In this case, is the compile for section. You want to make sure that we do have Microsoft Word selected in this case. You can see there are tons of different options here. We have rich text, open office, plain text, web page, final draft, etc., all the way down here, whatever you need to be. Today's case, we're using that Microsoft Word. Okay. Now, typically, I often use this manuscript times format, but in our case, we want to use the Vellum export right here. Okay. And so we can decide whether we want to include our front matter or not. I'm going to go ahead and take the front matter out in this case, just by unchecking that box there. Scroll down here. This is looking good. Now I'm just looking at how things are going to look like when they come out here. Let's see if I'm missing anything. Okay, so this is our format right here that we select. Okay, this is the compile output. This is kind of like this middle section here called the section layouts. It's kind of just a preview of what things will look like. So this is section titles. So this is the prologue. I just wanted to say the title of the section, which is prologue. 3 months later, point of views, etc. If I scroll down here, I can see scenes. These are all the scenes. It's worth going through here and just making sure that your structure looks right. This is kind of what we're looking at here. We have a chapter heading and a scene. So that's I have a chapter folder and a scene document. That's how they should be set up. It should be chapter, scene, chapter, scene. And you can see I can always come in here and I can change the structure to be whatever I mean it needs to be in case Scrivener does get it wrong. And occasionally that does happen. Where it's italicized here, Scrivener got it right. Where it's not italicized, that's where Scrivener got it wrong for whatever reason. I had to change this one to a part heading. It was showing up as a chapter for some reason. So I had to switch that over and so on and so forth. And we kind of can make those adjustments as the case may be. Cool thing too here is if you decide you want to take out a portion of the manuscript, you can actually even uncheck sections. So let's say I decide to just cut the prologue, don't need it anymore, don't want it. I can actually go ahead and just uncheck those boxes and it'll actually take them out completely. And it'll just be gone, just like that. Okay, so looking good. We're going to treat the compiler group as a complete manuscript. That's a bigger deal if you're, once again, writing multiple books in the same project, right? And we're going to go ahead and look at our settings here too. We can remove footnotes, we can remove comments, annotations, all sorts of fun things. You might want to look through this and see if there's other things you want to look at and remove. But otherwise, I think we're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and compile this out. We'll just kind of see what this looks like. You can give the document a name. I'm just going to call it MTOS, Vellum Export. And that's just Mark of the Shadow Vellum Export. And I can actually give that the actual name of the title. You know, it probably might be better to call it Mark of the Shadow, but in this case, we're just going to go with that. Okay, there we go. That's loading up. Okay, and so you can see it doesn't take too long for that to load up here. It's been a minute since I've used Microsoft Word, so let's open it up and see how it looks. Just to kind of get an idea of what we're looking at here. It's loading. There we go. Okay, looking good. So you can see I don't have an active Microsoft 365 subscription or whatever. But you can see already this is looking really good. I got part one, Rise of the Shadow marked, point of view, chapter one, etc. Okay, I didn't include my title page, which I may actually want to go back and add in. Okay, but you can see, wow, this is already looking really good. Chapter one, Ivel the Ripper. And this is looking really good for exporting into Vellum. I think this is going to come through nicely. So there we go. Let me scroll down here and see chapter two. Yep, chapter two, so on and so forth. And that's going to continue all the way on to the end of the book. And you might want to go through this and just kind of make sure everything looks okay before uploading into Vellum. But to be fair, you can do a lot of that formatting in Vellum, so you don't necessarily need to. I'm going to leave that to Catherine to kind of walk you through how that might work. And so yeah, let me go ahead and close that out. I think we got a good manuscript out. If there are any questions about that, we can hopefully can look at that again as we're going during the Q&A if anyone has any questions, but that's how you would get that exported out. Let me just briefly show that again. File, compile, make sure that we have that set to Microsoft Word, select Vellum export, look at your section layout, make sure everything's looking good, look at your structure, make sure everything looks good, click that compile button, maybe include that front matter, and then boom, you're good to go, just like that. Okay, so I'm going to quickly switch over here and we are going to get rolling with the second part. So that's a wrap on the Scrivener demonstration. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Catherine, to take it away for Vellum.
All right, groovy. Thank you so much, Oliver. Let me go ahead. Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Great. Okay. All right, great. We're all seeing this?
Looks good.
Okay, fabulous. Great. Thanks, Oliver. Okay, well, thank you for that lovely setup. And thank you again for having me. We have so many Vellum users who are just diehard Scrivener fans. So I'm really excited to be here, and the feedback that we've gotten has been so enthusiastic and overwhelming. So I'm going to move right into this here. Right at the top, I have a couple of useful links for you. I do want to mention that Vellum is available to download for free at our website, which is at vellum.pub. It's vellum.pub. And we do encourage you to take advantage of that free download before you purchase the software. You can use it to import your manuscript. You can use it to style your book, and you can use it to preview how your book will look across ebook platforms and in print. So that is a great resource that you can use until you want to create publishable files. So you can use it for as long as you want to explore the software. I do also want to mention that at the time of this recording and for the foreseeable future, Vellum is Mac-only software. If you are interested in using Vellum on Windows, we have a guide on how to do that at our help pages, as well as a step-by-step tutorial that you can take on, and those help pages can be found at help.vellum.pub. A link that I did not include on this useful links page is our contact page. So if Brad, if you wouldn't mind just dropping that in the chat, you can always contact us. You will contact me, and we can chat about any additional questions that you have there. So, but meanwhile, these are some great resources to help you to help get you set up. So let's set the table here. First, we're going to talk about what Vellum is to just sort of demystify that for anyone who is brand new to Vellum. Then we're going to talk about why you might want to use Vellum as opposed to using, a formatter or a different software. Then we're going to get into the fun portion of the program. We're going to do our little demo. And at the end, as Oliver mentioned, we'll do a live Q&A where we'll answer as many questions as we can. So, what is Vellum? So very basically, Vellum is a software that you can use to format the interior of your book. You can't use it to create a cover. You'll need to use a different software to do that, or get a cover designer. Vellum is just for the interior of your book. With a Vellum eBooks license, you can generate 6 different types of fully formatted EPUB files, and all of those files are optimized for their different platforms. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later during our demo. With Vellum Press, you can also generate fully formatted print-ready PDFs. And notably, both of these licenses allow you to generate an unlimited number of books. So as soon as you purchase a license, you can use it for the rest of time. Software updates are always free, and we don't charge any subscription fees. So that's pretty neat. Um, so What's what do you use Vellum for? You have this beautifully compiled Word document that Oliver left us with at the end of his portion of the presentation, but it's not really fully formatted. It's not ready to be a book. So what does that mean, though? That is where Vellum comes in. When you import your manuscript, Vellum analyzes that document and turns it into a book. Which means that it will contain things like chapter headings, headers and footers, a table of contents, as well as stylistic flourishes like drop caps and ornamental breaks. And that is what we mean when we say formatting. Um, Now, why might you want to use Vellum as opposed to hiring a formatter? You might be thinking to yourself, I don't need this. I'm just going to hire a formatter when my book is finished. And depending on, your goals as a writer, that might be a sensible path for you to choose. But here are a few reasons why you might want to experiment with using Vellum. With Vellum, you can make instantaneous changes to your book. depending, let's see, when you do your formatting sort of in-house by your, on your own, you don't have to worry about going back and forth with the formatter. So if you find after you publish your book that there is a typo in there, or if there's additional material that you want to include in there, you can just do that work instantaneously and you don't have to pay somebody to do it again. Vellum is effortless and professional. Um, it has been developed over 10 years by Vellum's wonderful developers who are not only brilliant software engineers, but are also like total formatting and typesetting geeks. um, and that means that Vellum has a lot of baked-in tools that help you create a professional-looking book, like the kind that you would get from a traditional publishing house. Um, while you're formatting your book, Vellum provides a lot of guidance to make sure that the end product is professional and beautiful every time and across all ebook platforms and in print. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, Vellum is good for life. So once you have the software, you don't need to worry about it expiring or about paying for software updates. You can use it to create book after book after book, and it's just yours forever. Um, so as I mentioned, there are a couple of different distribution options that you have for your book. If you are choosing to create ebook editions of your book, you get all of Vellum's wonderful styling, which we'll look at in depth during our demo. The books that Vellum creates are the ebooks that Vellum creates are created in a reflowable format, which means that they adapt to the device and preferences of their reader. So if you can imagine, your book is going to look a lot different on a tablet than if somebody is reading it on a tiny little iPhone screen or something like that. And the ebooks that Vellum creates will just automatically adapt to those different devices, as well as if people want to use a different font, or if they want to view your book in dark mode, et cetera, et cetera. All of the ebooks that Vellum creates come with a fully linked navigation table of contents so that people can jump from section to section of your book easily. And last but absolutely not least, like I said, Vellum creates ebooks in 6 different file formats. So for a number of popular ebook formats like Kindle or Apple Books, but also a generic file that you can use to take to an aggregator like Draft to Digital. And this is really important because there are different specifications for each of those platforms. So using the correct file means that you will get a beautiful result every single time. As I mentioned earlier with Vellum Press, you can also create a print edition of your book. You get all of that beautiful styling that we will be talking about and looking at in our demo. Vellum comes with a number of different trim sizes that you can use depending on your project. We just added a number last year, so you can create larger format books in addition to like a little tiny little 4x6 pocket book, which is sort of one of my favorites to look at. It's very cute. And when you set your trim size, Vellum automatically sets up your margins for you, which is a lot of finicky guesswork that you don't have to deal with. These PDFs are also fully paginated and come with configurable headers and footers. So again, this is just a lot of the work of formatting that Vellum does for you. You don't have to think about any of this, and you can, with a lovely manuscript like the one that Olive just turned out from Scrivener, you can create a fully formatted book within an hour. Okay. Before we get started on our demo, I want to take a quick and basic tour around Vellum's main window. To begin, on the left, we have our navigator. The navigator shows you all of the elements of your book. And elements of your book are just the different portions of your book. You have that front and back matter that Oliver referenced, things like the foreword or the introduction of your book. Back matter are things like your about the author elements or an acknowledgments element. And then the body matter of your book is the chapters of your book. So this navigator allows you to quickly navigate between these different elements in Vellum. You can also drag and drop these elements to quickly reorganize your book. In the central pane here, we have the text editor, and this is a place where you can apply basic formatting to your book, as well as, do editing or drafting of your book. But you can also add fun features, fun text features like text conversations that are made to look as if they're texts sent from one person to another. You can add inline images that will be fully embedded in an ebook, and that have controls such that you can control how the text flows around that image. You can add written conversations that use a handwritten font. There are really all sorts of different kinds of things that you can do with that text feature menu. That's that little asterisk up to the left there. Um, Vellum also has a find and replace tool. That's that little magnifying glass up to the right. And you can use that not only to find and replace text, but also to find and replace different kinds of formatting in your book. So you can do quick operations over your entire book using that tool. It's pretty nifty. So we'll look at the text editor a little bit more in a minute here. All the way to the right, we have Vellum's preview. And this live preview is one that will show you the changes that you're making to your book instantaneously. You can use it to view your book across ebook formats. And you can also use the device settings to change how your ebook will look depending on the preferences of the person who is viewing your book. In print mode, you can also set this to proof mode so that you can see all of the results of Vellum's automatic layout. The auto layout is a really powerful feature that Vellum has that you might not even notice. It does things like balance your page spreads and justifies your text so that all of the text lines up on either side of a text block, like in the center here. It does all kinds of things that most readers and lots of writers don't ever think about. So when you set this to proof mode, you will see sort of accurate positioning for your book. We recommend keeping it in draft mode while you're editing, just because proof mode takes a little longer. But again, we'll look at that in a minute here for our demo. And that's where we're going now. So I'm gonna exit out of this. Okay. And now we're going to share my whole screen here. Okay, great. So I'm going to go down to my dock here. I'm going to open up Vellum. And here we see Vellum's startup window. And on my startup window, we have a few different projects here. This is because I've used Vellum before. Up to the top right, we have the Invisible Man here. As you can see, there's a little heart here. I have favorited this so that I can return to it quickly and easily later. We also have a couple of projects that I've been working on recently. Notably, though these projects will queue up on Vellum's startup window, they are not saved within Vellum itself, but rather locally on the computer where you create them. You will want to create backups of your book just to make sure that if anything ever happens to your computer, you don't lose all of your work. And you can do this using iCloud or Dropbox or an external USB device. On the left here is where the magic happens. And if you've just started to use Vellum, you'll just see this window right here. Here you can jump to our tutorial or help pages that I mentioned earlier. You can also press this button to open up a new project that will be completely blank. Because we have our beautiful Scrivener compiled Word file, we're going to press the import Word file button here. I'm going to hop in here to my Secret Garden project, which is the book that we'll be formatting today, and I'm going to press import. All right, and here we are. Let's have a look at what Vellum has created here. So we're going to head over here again to the navigator. This is the title and author info screen. As you can see, Vellum has just pulled in some basic information about title and author. I can add things like a subtitle or series name here. I can also add contributors. If I have co-authors, I can add them here. We have a number of other options here, and you can also edit terminology here, such that if you have a different kind of contributor, you can add their contribution here as well. If your book is in a different language, you'll want to change that here. And if you have an ebook ISBN for your book, you can include that here. This is also where you'll add your ebook cover if you have one. Like I mentioned, you cannot use Vellum to format or to create a cover design. So you'll have to either create this yourself or hire a cover designer to do that for you. I created this PDF or this cover image just really quickly in Canva. So we're going to open that. And voila, there is my ebook cover image. Adding this means that this will be fully embedded in the ebooks I create with Vellum, but it also means that when I go to generate my file later, Vellum will create a marketing image that we'll need to use for our book as well. And that will be a separate file, and we'll look at that again when we generate a little bit later. So moving along, we have our title page that reflects the information in our title that we put in our title and author info screen up here. And here we have that fully linked table of contents. By default, this is not included in print. If I want to include it in print editions of my book, I can go to the gear menu right here and select include in all editions. And now when I go to my device popover here, I can not only view this on different ebook devices, but I can also view it in print. Great. So speaking of prints, when you are beginning your project, it's a good idea to determine your book's trim size, as this will determine a lot of things about your book's layout. So to do that, we're going to go to the main file menu and select print settings. And here you'll see all of those wonderful trim sizes that you can choose among. If you select more options, you'll see that you have popular US and UK options here, in addition to those full-size options that I mentioned that we just added last year. As you can see, when I switch to full size, Vellum has reconfigured my margin for me here. So again, that's all work that Vellum has done for me. If you need to reconfigure it, Vellum has that flexibility. You can do that. So yeah, so that's all great. There are a number of different adjustments that you can make on the print settings page. Here you can make small adjustments to your font size and line spacing. So as you see, as we move that up, the number of pages in my book go up. And in Vellum's preview, I don't know if you noticed that there, but that just hopped up a couple of notches. You can also make changes to the line spacing here. That's the space between each line of your book. These chapter begin settings can be important if you are going to add a full spread heading background, which is something that we'll be doing later. Typically, by standard publishing guidelines, the first chapter of your book will always begin on the right side. So if you don't want any extra pages in your book, if you don't want Vellum to add an extra page to force your chapter to begin on the right side, you want to select this option right here. If you want every chapter to begin on the right side, you'll select this option here. And since we'll be adding that heading background later, I'm going to leave that there. There are a couple of different options here as well. Page numbering. In US books, typically the page numbering starts at the first chapter. So I'm going to leave that here because that's where I am. Vellum defaults to black and white for your images because color printing can be very expensive. But if I'm creating a special edition, or if for whatever reason I want to include color images in my book, I can select color there. And for fun, I'm just going to leave us a color here for now. This is also where you can configure bleed settings for your book. This option allows you to configure bleed for a few different popular printing services. As you can see right now, it's queued up for Ingram Spark and KDP. If I wanted to use Lulu, I would hop down to here. And if I wanted to use printing services that are more popular in Europe, for example, I could choose one of these. But we'll go back up here. All right, great. So I'm going to click the Done button. So now that I have my print settings all configured, let's have a look at Vellum's preview here. Okay, Great. Ah. So every once in a while, after you've done something like configured print settings, the preview can take a minute to want to think about what it's doing. If you don't want to wait for it, like I don't right now, I'm just going to quit out of Vellum and then I'm going to hop back in. And now, as you can see, my secret garden project is all queued up. And now here we are. Okay, great. So as you can see, the Word doc that I compiled from Scrivener didn't contain very much in the way of front or back matter. If I want to add additional elements to my book, I can either do so from the chapter menu right up here. I can go to chapter add element, and if I want to say add a dedication, I can do that here. I can also add elements from this bottom gear menu here. And this is a really cool feature. You can add multiple elements here as well. And this is one of the many subtle ways that Vellum helps you create a professional looking book. These are all organized in the way that you would find them organized in a traditionally published book. So if I decide that I want to add a few different things here, you can see that they're all just added exactly in the places where you would find them in a traditionally published book, which is great and very helpful. If you decide that you want to buck convention and you say want to move your about the author elements to the beginning of your book, you can certainly do that. That is within your control, and it's up to you how things are organized in your book. All of these elements are formatted. They contain special formatting depending on what kind of formatting is necessary for that type of page. So as you can see, the epigraph element does not have a chapter, it doesn't have a heading, and it's also set a little bit further down on the page. This about the author element is a very cool feature that can sort of display the differences between a print and ebook edition here. If I add our Facebook page here. As you can see in the print edition, this is queued up to show icons. I can choose to show icons and links if I want oops, aha. I can choose to show icons and links if I want a link to appear in my print edition here. Um, oh, it wasn't showing us that because we weren't on print. Haha, there we are. So there is our lovely link. Great. And then if I just select show icons, it will show me icons here. As you can see, I'm going to click this back to show icons and links. And then if I go back to Kindle here, I have a link to icon here. So as you can see, what will show in Vellum's preview here is dependent on what is selected in the device popover here. So this is all great. I've added a couple of elements to my book. I can see that my chapters are all turning up and looking lovely and suitably formatted as they've come from Scrivener. But what if I decide that I don't like the look of this book? What if I decide that this is the secret garden and I want for my book to look a little bit more florid? If I decide that I want to change the styling of my book, I can navigate to the styles pane here, which we'll click on. Here we can see that we're in Vellum's default style, which is Meridian. I had previously made some changes to this style, which is why there is an asterisk next to the name of this style. If you ever have made a bunch of changes, Vellum will hold on to those for you, but you can reset to defaults right here. Now, in our navigator here, we see a number of style categories. Here we see saved styles. It is possible to create a style template and save it so that if you're doing something like creating a series of books that you want all to have the exact same styling, you can quickly reference it here. That'll apply all of that formatting to my book. We can also take a look at popular styles here. Here at Vellum, we are somewhat style agnostic. We believe that the styling of your book is really up to you. But as you can see, there are a number of different sort of vibes that are available across styles. If I were creating, say, a horror novel, maybe I might want to select this very gothic-looking Edgewood. Kindred might be good for a romance novel. Metro might be good for perhaps a sci-fi novel. Recital could be good for a work of literary fiction, and so on and so forth. And these are organized in a few different ways. The serif option will show you styles that use a serif font for things like their chapter headings. Sans serif, similarly, will show us sans serif fonts. Brival might be good for a crime novel. Script will show us styles that use a script font. And Vellum also includes two accessible styles that were created with people who have reading or eyesight impairment in mind. So you can select among those two if you like. Or you can just browse all styles down here as well. For my book, I'm going to select Oxford. So yeah, once I've determined the styling that I'd like for my book, there are a number of tweaks and different configurations that you can make to that styling. And to do that, we're going to click on the Configure Style button. And here on the left, we see all of the features that are already included in my book. If I want to see all of the available features, I can select all features here. And now all of the features that are included in my book have check marks next to them. And all of the possible features are available here too. As you can see, we have this default heading style here. If I decide that I want to use a heading style that does not use a number, I can select this one here. We also have this really beautiful style with this lovely ornament here. I think that I like the very simple style or the simplest style for this book. So I'm going to select the middle selection on the styles carousel here. Here is also where you can add a heading background, which I mentioned earlier. Vellum comes with a number of preset heading backgrounds that you can choose from, which is great. You can also create a custom heading background. So as you can see, this page has a number of controls. If I want for my heading background to just span this single page, I can leave this here. Or if I want to do a two-page spread, which is what I'd like to do today, I can set this to spread. Spread will automatically queue your image extent up to full bleed. Vellum will also provide some feedback about the ideal size for your heading background so that it looks beautiful in your print edition. I should mention that heading backgrounds are only available in print. They are not well supported in ebooks. So this is an option that you'll use for print editions of your book. You can also create an image template. If you're creating an image from scratch, then you can use that to help guide you and help get the right sizing for that image. So I'm going to click the plus button here. We're going to use this lovely image of autochrome flowers for our heading background here. As you can see, this is very moody and lovely, but we can't see our text anymore. So I'm going to select use white text, and voila, there it is. If I wanted to make the image presence a little less, can make it transparent using this control here. And if I want to only include this heading background in certain chapters, I can select individual elements here. So yeah, that is our lovely heading background. That's one of the many, many different things that you can configure here in the styles panes. First paragraph is where you'll add these lovely drop caps, but if you want that to be simpler, you can select this first option here that applies no formatting. We have a couple of styles that use small caps, and then we have a few different kinds of drop caps as well. Headers and footers are also completely customizable. We have 9 different templates for you to choose from here. But if you don't like any of those templates, you can click the Create Custom button and determine what content you want to appear in your headers and footers and where. You can also add little ornaments here. And then finally, in the body style editor, you can do all kinds of very powerful things throughout your book. You can indicate paragraphs with indentation or spacing. So if you prefer to not have your paragraphs indented, you can select that here. You can also select your body font here. So if you prefer a different body fonts, this is where you'll do that. And you can also determine what kind of emojis you'd like to use for your book here as well. There are a few other features here that I'm not going to go through, but this is an important thing to look at. Okay, great. So now that we have made those changes, let's go back and take a look at our text editor here. Um, we can do things like add an ornamental break here. And again, the appearance of my ornamental break is determined by the styling of my book. So if I don't care for that ornamental break, now that I've added one, there it appears. And I can choose a different kind. I'm going to choose Little Radish here. Um, if I want to change the alignment of a block of text, I can do that here as well. We can use an alignment block here to do that. If I am writing a nonfiction novel and I'd like to add endnotes or footnotes to my book, I can do that here as well. Great, and there it is. And there's my footnote. Um, I also wanted to look at the find and replace feature, which is here. Like I said, you can use this like the standard find and replace feature that you'll find in Microsoft Word or similar. We can search for garden here. This will show us all of the instances of garden, but you can also find special here. So if you want to find all of the ornamental breaks in your book, you can use find text feature ornamental break. As you see, this shows us all of the different text features that are included in my book. You can also find formatting. So if you have, let's see, now when I bold this text, you can see that bold turns up here as well. And you can, once you find the instances of that formatting, you can, replace that all at once using this tool as well. So it's really handy and it makes the work go a lot more quickly. Great. Now that we have made a few different changes to our book, let's take a look at the preview here. Again, if we change to the ebook editions of my book, we won't see my lovely heading background, but we can see that the other formatting that I've applied here appears. We can see my ornamental break here. We can see that this second paragraph is now center aligned for my use of that alignment block. The footnote that I added is now fully linked, so there's that. And you can see that I've bolded my text here. And this will look different, again, depending on which device I choose. This menu here, the device settings menu, will allow me to see how my book will look if readers of my book have have different preferences for how to view my book. So if they're using a giant font, there's that. If they're using a tiny font, there's how that would look. We can choose different fonts. These preferences will change depending on the ebook type that I'm looking at. So as you can see, now that we're looking at Kindle, we have a couple of different options for font choices here. We can also choose between dark mode, light mode, sepia mode, all of those things. When we queue up print here, this menu now allows us to choose between draft and proof mode, which I mentioned earlier. When we switch into proof mode, you can see all of the results of that automatic layout that I mentioned earlier. You can also see the gutter of your book. So here we can determine that we're looking at the verso or left side of my page spread. And now we can see that I'm looking at the recto or right side of my page spread. I'm going to switch back to draft. One thing that I did want to mention that I did not mention earlier is that in the text editor, if you want for this, if you want to change the display of the text editor, you can do that by going to Vellum settings. We're going to click over to text editor here. You can change the editor font here to one that you prefer. If you want a sans serif, you could choose Apnir Next, et cetera, et cetera. And if you would like for the font to be larger or smaller, you can also do that here. We have made all of these changes to our book, and we've used the preview to have a look at how the book will appear. And now it is time to generate publishable copies of my book. And again, in order to do this, you will need to purchase either a Vellum eBooks license or a Vellum Press license. Because I have a license, I'll see a generate button here, which I'll click. If you press this button here, you'll see all of these different options for formats to create my book in. If you are going wide, which means publishing across ebook formats, you can select all of those. And again, I do want to mention that because Vellum includes different or performs different optimizations for all of these ebook formats, if you are publishing directly at any of these platforms, you want to use the appropriate EPUB. So if you're publishing it with Amazon, you want to use the Kindle EPUB. If you're publishing with Apple, you want to use the Apple EPUB, et cetera, et cetera. We can also select to create our lovely print-ready PDF here. If you want to make last-minute tweaks to print settings, you can do so here. But again, if you're going to do that, you'll want to take a look and just make sure that everything looks as you expect before continuing. This little button here will show you where you are generating your files on your computer. At the moment, this is generating to the folder Invisible Man. This is the Secret Garden. So I'm going to select the Secret Garden, choose that here, and I'm going to press Generate. So here come the ebook editions. Print usually takes just a little bit longer as Vellum applies all of the lovely auto layout features that we discussed earlier, but it should be coming in just a second here. Great. So now I have files that I can take and upload either at different ebook platforms or to the print service of my choice. So I'm going to click the Show Files button. As you can see, we have these different folders for the different formats that I've generated my book in. I'm going to click on Apple Books. We have the EPUB and we have that marketing image that I mentioned earlier. And now when I open Apple Books, I can proof my book. And proofing means that we'll carefully inspect the EPUB to make sure that everything looks as we expect before we upload it to our ebook platform. And as you can see, I see my footnotes. I see all of that lovely styling that we added earlier. That's all available here. Now we're going to go back. We'll take a look at the print edition of our book. As you can see, since the ebook cover that we added is not included in the print PDF, we just have this single file. I'm going to double clicking this will cause it to open in your Apple's preview utility. And I'm going to press Command 3 to view this as page spreads, which is how we recommend that you proof your book. So as you can see, as I flip through, you can see the different items, front matter that I added to my book. We can see my About the Author page here. We've got my table of contents. And there we see the heading background that I've added for my book. So now we are all set. And I think that that is a pretty good place to leave this for now. Like I said, if you have questions, Oliver and I will take them now. And if you have questions that aren't answered in this webinar, you can contact us via our contact page. All right, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Oliver.
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much, Catherine. That was excellent. That was really exciting. I loved seeing all that. Great information. So we have loads of questions. Real quick before we jump into that, I'm going to go ahead and drop in some links for you guys and things real quick. You know what? I can't find them. So I'll one way or the other, I'll get those posted in the description of the video. So if anyone has any questions, and Catherine, if you guys could send me some links too, I'll make sure everything gets embedded in the in that description so we have everything for everyone. As far as questions and emails and things like that, one I do want to just show our support emails real quick for you so everyone can see that for any Scrivener related questions. And Brad, if you could drop in, or Catherine, if you have your support email, that would be great if you could drop that in there too. I'm just going to share my screen real quick so everyone can see that. Ba-ba-bum. Maybe not. Give me a second here. There it is. Share. There we go. So hopefully everyone can see that. These are our support emails. So if there are any Scrivener related questions you have, or maybe even I saw some people were having some trouble bringing things back into Scrivener, things like that, please, reach out to us. Probably the best one will probably be Scrivener slash dash Mac at literaturelatte.com, and we will help you troubleshoot those issues and get things figured out. But yeah, let's go ahead and move right into our Q&A. And after that, I think we'll spend probably about 15 minutes in the Q&A, and then we'll wrap it up there. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and close this out and we'll jump on our way. I don't know, Catherine, if you want to start scanning through there and seeing if you can find any relevant questions for you while I
Okay,
just wrap
let's
up a few
see.
things here real quick.
Okay. We have lots of questions here. Okay. Okay, this is a common question. Can I have Vellum on two devices, let's say my computer and a laptop? Yes. While Vellum is intended for a single user, if you want to add Vellum on your laptop so that you can work on your book on the go. You can install your license by using the restore function that's described on our websites. I can drop the link in the chat in just a minute here. Um, as I mentioned earlier, because Vellum doesn't perform any file management or storage, that does mean that you will have to share your files between your laptop and your computer using a cloud sharing device or an external USB device like a flash drive. Um, okay, let's see. So let's see. Okay. I have a question asking if ornaments can be a custom import. Yes, you can create a custom ornament for your book, similar to how we created our custom headers and footers. When you go to that styles pane and you select you select the ornament option, you will see a button there to create a custom ornament. Um, let's see. Can Vellum handle graphic novels? This is a question that we get with some regularity. Vellum was developed with text-based books in mind. If you want to try to if you want to try to create something like a graphic novel in Vellum, you can do so using the full-page image element. That's something that you would want to do using, a fully laid out pages of your graphic novel, though. Okay, let's see. Oliver, do you want to hop in, or should I just keep cruising
That's a
here?
great question. I'm just trying to find any Scrivener related questions. Looks like most of them actually are kind of geared around Vellum.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say, I saw someone asking like, is Scrivener like required to use with Vellum? I'll just say right now, no, it's not. You don't have to use Scrivener. They're two separate apps, but they can complement each other. I'll just throw that out there real quick. Oh.
Here's another common question. I have a nonfiction business book series. How can you get tables into the text? Vellum doesn't currently support tables, but if you want to add one to your book, you can create one using an inline image. That's an image that will be embedded in your text. So you'd want to create that image independent of Vellum and then insert it using an inline image. Um, let's see. Can Vellum edit EPUB files created by formatters or other users' Vellum? Vellum can only import the docx file that we looked at earlier. So it can only import files in that format. If you have an EPUB file that you want to work on the content of, you can import. You can convert that EPUB file into a docx file using a free tool like Calibri. Um, and then you can import that docx into Vellum. This won't preserve all of that formatting, but it will bring in the content of that book. Um, let's see. Okay, right at the top here, we've got how do I export from Vellum into Word? To do this, you can go to the main file menu, and there you will see an option that reads export content as, and there you'll want to select Word file. And that is really, really helpful. As you mentioned, Stella, if you have editors who want to work in your book, usually they want to see it in that format. Let's see. Okay. Is there any way to access the HTML of the book project directly to allow more detailed formatting? We don't recommend breaking open your Vellum files that you've created with Vellum after the fact. All of these files are, they're optimized and prepared and ready to be uploaded at their, various platforms. So if you go in, you can go in something like Sigil and make changes, but we can't guarantee the sort of results of those uploads when you do that. Um, okay. Um, Is there any way to have multiple formatting options for the same upload? At the moment, this is example 5x8 for paperback, 6x9 for hardcover, and 6x9 special edition with illustrations. This is not currently possible in Vellum, so to do this, you'd need to create multiple different Vellum files. This is something that we have feature request for, so I'll go ahead and add a note, Stephen, that's something that you might want, and we'll think about it for future updates. And this is a good time to mention that we really, development is really driven quite a bit at Vellum by customer feedback. So if you have suggestions or sort of observations of like features that you'd like to see or things that could possibly work more smoothly for you, please reach out to us. We keep track of them. We want to hear what you think. And we are always happy to talk about what's possible or workarounds if you need them. Let's
Perfect. I see someone here is asking, and so they're asking, will Vellum import bold and italics from Scrivener? I'm just gonna say yes, it should, because
Yes.
all the formatting that goes into your Word document is gonna appear. I mean, in that Word document you compile out, it's gonna go right into Vellum. And I haven't tested it. They're asking about footnotes, but I imagine if you add footnotes to a Scrivener document, those get exported out into the Word document. Those will also import in to Vellum. Is that correct? Or
Correct. Any
okay,
formatting that appears in your
perfect.
Word document, it should carry
Should come
over into
over.
Vellum. If you
Perfect.
are having issues with your import and you need to troubleshoot, again, reach out to us. We also do have a super super helpful help page about this, about importing your book, that you can take a look at, that answers a lot of common questions about things that might happen on import that are unexpected.
True, true, true. real quick, Kath, I'm just gonna ask you. I've seen some people kind of asking, can I export when I import into Vellum, can I
Uh-huh.
export that back into Word and then theoretically back into Scrivener? I guess. I mean, I know I can bring a Word document to Scrivener. Can you, when you're exporting out of Vellum, can that go right back into Word again and then?
It can,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
you just go to File, Export Content as, and then you select Word file. And that
Gotcha.
will, it won't preserve like all of the formatting that Vellum creates, but
Hmm.
it will, it'll export it in a format that, you'll be able to like bring it back into Vellum,
Gotcha.
and presumably back into Scrivener.
Scrivener. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I will say that about that whole process, bringing it in and then back out is probably not the best way to handle it. It probably would be
yeah.
better to, if you have changes to be made to your manuscript, I guess, can we import like new chapters and new sections into that same book project in Vellum? Is that
Oh,
possible?
certainly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If you
Yeah.
have additional chapters, you can actually just drag and drop those Word files like
Perfect.
right into Vellum's Navigator. It's a similar feature to the one that Scrivener has
Scrivener
though.
has, yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
that
Um,
whole side of the screen looks very similar to the binder. Honestly,
totally.
very
Yeah.
structurally very similar. Works pretty much the same way. So if that's the case, then that's what I would recommend people do. If you're using Scrivener and you're like, hey, I've made some changes to my book now in Scrivener and I want to bring it into Vellum, I would probably just export that file as a Word document and then just bring that file directly in. Rather than trying to bring everything in and then bring everything back and then
Mhm.
you'll end up with a formatting nightmare bringing between going back and forth like that. You just want to at that point, once it's in Vellum, you really are looking piece by piece by piece rather than like the whole thing in Scrivener.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
let's
Excuse me.
see. Um,
Man, so many great questions.
so many great questions in
Yeah.
so many places. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, can we add Vellum print license to Vellum ebook license? Yes, you can. If you want to do this, you can there is an option that you can use to go. Um, you can go to purchases and you can add on the print option for a fee. I think in the United States it's something like 69.99. It'll be different depending on what country you're coming from, but you can upgrade to Vellum Press after you get Vellum ebooks. Um, Let's see. Can you use a previous book's back matter for a future book? This is a great question. Yes, Vellum has a reuse feature, and you can use the reuse feature in a few different ways. It's pretty flexible, but a common way that it's used is creating an entirely separate sort of template Vellum file that contains front and back matter that you want to reuse over and over again. And then when you use the reuse feature, you can just go in there and like pop it into your book really, really easily. That's well, I'll add the help page for that into the chat because it's a little complicated.
Right. Let's see.
Okay. Um, Does Vellum have import word style sheets? We have a sort of master document about word styles that is available again on that. I will put our importing help page down here. At the very bottom of this importing help page that I'm about to pop into the chat and that I've now popped into the chat, you will find a guide on using word styles in Vellum. Um, or using word styles in your Word document such that different text features, et cetera, different formatting imports correctly into Vellum. From what I understand, though, Oliver, when you compile a document in Scrivener,
Mhm.
it is, that document will already contain all of that styling within that Word file. So
Mhm.
if you do this using the compile option, make sure that you've chosen all of those options that Oliver outlined earlier. That styling should already be in that Word document.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of that's the nice thing about the Vellum export option that Keith added there, our developer, is he kind of just took out all of the thinking, just set that up so you can just set it up, send it out, and it's already ready to go. Of course, you could select another option and still export to Word and try to mess around with that and see what, but I think you'll get the best results if you use the Vellum export option.
Uh-huh. Mhm.
Awesome. Well, we just got a couple minutes left. Is there
Okay,
any question that's really sticking out to you?
let's
I'm
see
trying to
here.
find another question for us. I mean, I see someone's asking about for Scrivener. So I like to send my chapters to beta readers and I'm planning on publishing it to Substack. Can I do that directly from Scrivener directly? And are there recent improvements to format so it looks good? So, I mean, yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, really, uh, I mean, you could do just that. You could export it directly out of Scrivener because Scrivener's compiler is robust. It can do that. Um, if you're not looking to actually like for an EPUB or like an ebook style, you just need the text document to send over. Honestly, I rarely even actually export when I'm posting to Substack. I usually just actually copy and paste that into the Substack editor. I don't know if you're familiar with Substack at all, Catherine. It's
Mhm.
just an online publishing tool.
Yeah.
Just like any blog or anything like that. And so you kind of have to use their thing. I don't typically upload anything to them. I just copy paste and I'm on my way. So I don't know. Hopefully that helps you, Carla. But yeah, there's not too much into it for that.
Okay, I see here. Becky asks, when I edit the imported document in the Vellum body window, that is the text editor, are my changes saved back to the original document? And this is a question that we get with some regularity. Those changes are not synced. So if you this is where that file export to Word option really comes in handy. If you change the content of your book and you need it to be in that Word format again, you'll need to export it from Vellum. It will not sync with your original manuscript.
Okay, perfect. Well, I think we're gonna call it a wrap today. We're just at time right now, 2:45 p.m. Central. I'm not sure what time it is for everyone else, so everyone's all over the place. But I want to just say thank you to everyone for coming today. We've had a lot of fun. Thank you, Catherine, so much. I just want to express my heartfelt gratitude to Catherine and to Brad, our guests, and for all of you coming today. This has just been a phenomenal experience doing this together, and hopefully this won't be will be the first of many. We'll see how things go. But just thank you all. Now, I just want to say it's been an honor to support all of you in your writing journeys. I hope the insights and tools shared today really help you to elevate your writing craft and get your books published. Okay. Now, please remember our commitment to supporting your creative endeavors doesn't end here. Our team is always available to assist you. Stay connected with us and be sure to check out our upcoming webinar series for more educational and inspiring content. Well, until next time, thank you, Catherine. We'll see y'all.
Thank you so much. Bye, y'all.
Bye.